Hello to all our community members. Welcome to the Bajirao IS Academy. Before starting our Hindu tutorial discussion, let's play a game of interaction. Suppose you have been posted as a district education officer in your district, okay? And you have been given responsibility to identify some of the important educational challenges of your district. And after analyzing various reports and field observations, you found certain educational issue in your district. Let's say the schools are facing low enrollment ratio among girls. Okay, this is one of the challenge. Another challenge is like high dropout rate in senior secondary and secondary schools. This is another challenge. And the third one is absenteeism. That means a student goes to a school, but very frequently they are not present. Okay. So these challenges you have identified. What does it reflects? It reflects like either the children are not interested in taking the course or the lectures, or the parents are not aware about the education, about the importance of education, or it can be the mixer of both. So what you will do, and first of all, identify the cause of these issue, and as an education officer, how will you be handling it? Because if education needs to improve, that means the enrollment ratio, the quality of education, okay, that should be improved. But let's say if the children is not coming to the school, then despite improving the education will not give you much benefit. So as an education officer, what you will be doing to improve the enrollment ratio, to cut out the dropout rate, along with to increase the present status in the school of the children. Okay, why I am trying to showcase all of these issue? Because we only becomes a passive reader or passive learner, but here in this interactive session you will become an active learner, and you will try to identify the problems, identify the cause of the problems, and definitely you will be implementing the solution. So overall, this case study will be benefiting for the debate and discussion as well as for the interview, and along with it will help you to develop the thinking power as an active learner, not as a passive learner. So my objective is that you should develop this capability, and definitely you will enjoy these type of exercise, because this session makes the lectures more participatory, more interactive, and more inclined to the needs of various dimensions of this examination. Okay, so let's start with our editorial discussion. Hello and welcome you all. Welcome to the Bajirao IS Academy. Today is 17th November, and we are going to discuss the daily Hindu newspaper analysis. Okay, and we have the three articles in discussion. First one is related to the challenges related to the election bond scheme. You know that electoral bond scheme came into 2018, and what was the objective? To bring transparency, okay, and political accountability in the funding of the elections. But it was aimed to ensure transparency, but indirectly it seems like it is promoting invisibleness, anonymity. Okay, so this scheme was challenged in the Supreme Court by filing an public interest litigation. Okay, and this judgment is pending in the Supreme Court, and we will see that what are the challenges associated with the electoral bond scheme and how it avoids transparency, okay, and how it promotes anonymity. We all will be elaborating in detail. The second article is related to generic medicine versus branded medicine. Well, you know that if any disease occurs to you, okay, you visit to the shopkeeper, okay, the medicine store, and maybe without consulting the doctor, you consult the shopkeeper and you take the medicines. Okay, so this is the trend of not only yourself but majority of the population in India does this type of action. They doesn't consult the doctors, but the shopkeepers decide which medicine will benefit to you with respect to the disease. Okay, so that is the one case. But another case is that we have huge dependency on the generic medicine. That's a good thing because when we talk about generic medicine, first of all, it has lower cost. And in India, there is also a good quality of generic medicine available, and this is able to cater the need of the population. But does all of the generic medicine is good in India? Not sure. Because we have a data which says that about like 5 to 6% of the generic medicine is of not a good quality. That means if government want to promote generic medicine in totality, okay, so there is a need to have a quality of the generic medicine to be 100%, not 95%. Okay, so there is a need of the government that the quality of the medicine, specifically the generic medicine, needs to be ensured so that the government's approach to minimize the need of branded medicine as prescribed by various doctors should be reduced. Okay, so we will be elaborating that. And the third article is related to the Manipur incidents, and we are seeing that almost like more than 4 5 months have been happened to the incidents, but no solution is emerging out. So whether this represents the state's failure, okay, and how the solution will be done. And here first important suggestion is like dialogue is necessary between the communities. Okay, and here the role of the central government is very much prominent to deal with these crises. So we will be exploring all these angles. And if you are liking our initiative, please do like, share, subscribe, and also try to promote with your friend circle so that your friend get also benefited from these tutorial discussion, and try to be participative and give the answers to the questions which we are asking. Okay, and that's why we on the daily basis try to give you some of the prelims previous year paper. While solving it, you can analyze the trend of the question and how to solve. So there is a approach needed to solve the question, because some of the questions in the UPSC prelims are little bit trickier and you need to revise the concept, and sometimes options needs to be analyzed to eliminate the options. Okay, so that's the important point. And here the question of today's section is of polity, and the question is, the ninth schedule was introduced in the Constitution of India during the Prime Ministership of option A Jawaharlal Nehru, option B Lal Bahadur Shastri, option C Indira Gandhi, and option D Moraji Desai. If you remember that when was the ninth schedule introduced, then definitely you can answer this question. Okay, because this question has been asked in an indirect way. And what was the ninth schedule and why it was inserted? Can you tell me in the comment section? Okay, and this is a repetitive question, and even in the mains you can utilize this. So we will be providing the answers to this question in the last session of our discussion video. So please wait and try to solve the question by pausing the video. We will be discussing in the last session. Okay, so let's continue with our discussion. Have a nice day. Let's start with our article. The first article is related to GS paper 2. Okay, and when we talk about the political party, you know that the political party, whether we have a state political party, the regional political party, or the national political party, they campaigns for the votes. Okay, whether it is in the print media, whether it is in the social media, or whether it is in the people. Okay, so that requires money. Okay, and political party is not a company. That means they have to get the fund from the donors. Okay, and who can be the donor? The company can be the donor. Okay. The person who is associated with the political party, they can also be the donor. But when we talk about who can donate in much higher amount, whether me or you or whether the bigger company, yes, the big businesses. Okay. And that's why when we talk about the donation, it is a very big issue in case of the political party. Okay. And their reliance on funding from big businesses. Okay. And when we talk about what's the broader impact of these funding, so by utilizing the funding, the political party alters the voters behavior. Okay. You can see various advertisements, okay, in the print media and the social media, and various videos that gets promoted. So these all are marketed to get a awareness of the voter, and also to influence the voters perspective, the ideology. Okay. And that's why you can have an ideology of supporting one party and you can have an ideology to support other party. Okay. So that's the point. And if the political funding, let's say, is much more promoted in various dimensions, okay, and let's say there is a company which is funding the political party or the candidate for the sake of benefit that they can get if elected into the power, so that means it can also influence the country's governance as well, because the country's governance or the laws related to the economy or the polity or the society may be affected by the donation of the company, because they can like suggest certain policy to be implemented in their favor, okay, in the disfavor, all of that. So there is a need to empower the citizens about all the mechanisms and the tactics adopted by the political party, so that voter can take the aware decision while voting for the candidate. Okay. So what we needed to empower them. Okay. And how we can empower them? If the voter have a knowledge or the idea about the political funding, which company is funding which political party, how much funding. Okay. So if we have an idea about all of these, certainly we can take the aware decision while voting a candidate. Okay. That's why there is a need to have a campaign for transparency among the voters, so that voters can take the aware decision. Okay. And hence the civil society, the NGO, has long been campaigning for greater transparency in the political funding, and to ensure that the citizens democratic right to information should be enforced. Okay. And the more transparency is, the better the decision taken by the voter. Okay. So that's the point. And we have the democratic right to information to know all about it and the funding. Okay. So that means we need to have an idea about who is funding, whom to funding. Okay. All of that. And when we talk about the introduction of electoral bond scheme, okay, so what was the aim of this scheme? To promote transparency, because it allows the donation, okay, in a digital mode, in a transparent mode. But on the other hand, it has a provision that provides for anonymity to the donors, whether it is the company, whether it is the person. Okay. So if there is anonymity, we will not be able to identify who is donating, whom is donating, how much is donating. Okay. So rather, it is promoting transparency, it is promoting anonymity. So that's the point which has been raised in this article. And when we talk about the beginning of the electoral bond system, so first of all, UPA, United Progressive Alliance, led by the Congress, okay, First of all, they introduced electoral trust scheme 2013, and it was revamped into the electoral bond scheme in 2018. And what was this scheme? Here, in this scheme, it allowed donors to purchase bonds from authorized banks, specifically the State Bank of India, and then donate them to the political party. Okay, but here the important concern or the important provision in this scheme was that the identity of the donor is not revealed to the parties or the public. Okay, and what was the arguments given here? Protecting the right to privacy of the donor. Okay, so that's what the argument given in adding these provisions. Okay, but we have to understand how this electoral bond scheme is a well over the corporate donor, how it ensures invisibleness of the corporate donor. And who is the corporate donor? The companies, the larger company, bigger company, multinational company, it can be also. Okay, so basically there was various provisions that was existing to limit the influence of foreign money and big businesses in India's democratic polity. But systematically, it was demolished. How it was demolished, you can understand. Like the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act was retrospectively means from a previous date, was amended through the Finance Act 2016 to permit Indian subsidiaries of the foreign companies to donate to the political party. That means the political party can even receive the foreign fund in case any Indian subsidiary of the foreign company exists in India. Okay, and this will not cause any disqualification even on the acceptance of the foreign contribution. And what after that? It was again series of measures which was adopted, like changes in the regulatory framework, like change in the Representation of the People Act, along with Income Tax Act, along with the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, and the passage of this amendment was in the absence of Rajya Sabha because it was passed as a finance bill. And you know that if it gets passed as a finance bill, the Rajya Sabha's role regarding the legislative passage becomes restricted. Hence, the role of Rajya Sabha in debate and discussion was restricted here. So that's the point. Okay, and hence this matter was challenged to the Supreme Court initially in 2021 to stay an interim ban on this scheme, but Supreme Court that time rejected an interim ban. But the Supreme Court also said that in the coming time they will hear the case. Okay, and the PIL was filed by ADR, that is Association for Democratic Reforms and Common Cause. Okay, challenging the constitutionality of the EBS, that is Electoral Bond Scheme, in 2017. And what was the argument of the ADR, that is Association for Democratic Reforms? They argued that the electoral bond scheme violates the citizens' right to know, which has been guaranteed under Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, and also undermines transparency. Along with it, jeopardize the country's autonomy. Okay, and it is against transparency because we have anonymity in the donors. Okay, we are not able to cater or get the information of the donor, who is donating, how much is donating. Okay, and that also incentivized corrupt practices by lifting the caps or the limits on the corporate donation, and it can lead to the cell companies donating to the parties, and this will malpractice our democratic systems also. Okay, and when we talk about the broader consequences, so you can understand that there can be the nexus between the politics and the business, and with the cooperation of these big business which is contributing to the fund as a donor, so they can have a profound influence on the economic laws, social laws, political laws, all of that. Okay, because in politics give and take occurs hand by hand. Okay, so if the businesses is providing something, so the candidate or the candidate who will win the election, they can also provide the benefit to the businesses. Okay, and what businesses wants, lack of restrictions, lack of regulations, okay, favor, all of these. So that happens hand in hand. And also this eroded the election commission of India's constitutional role in ensuring free and fair election and democratic elections. So that's the point has been highlighted in this article. Okay, and we have certain data to substantiate that when this bond system was introduced, it became a favorite one to accept the donations. Okay, despite we have the digital means of bond donation, like purchasing the electoral bonds from the authorized bank, and they will be encircled as a cash by the political parties and all of that. We are not getting into the technical detail of this scheme, but here we are trying to indicate some of the important data. Okay, you can understand that out of total electoral bond redeemed until 2020-21, BJP, the present government, got the maximum share of 74.5%. And who is the second number? The INC, Indian National Congress. Okay, and also we have seen that in the 17th Lok Sabha, that is the latest Lok Sabha election, okay, the expenditure rose to about 55,000 crore to 60,000 crore approx. And what is the government's argument with respect to the electoral bond scheme, like donors' right to privacy? Okay, and here the article argues that although we understand that the donor's right to privacy should be protected, but when we talk about the fundamental right to privacy against artificial legal person, that is the company, it should not be available. It is not available. It is not allocated to the by the constitution. And when we talk about maximum electoral bond sales, okay, they are in the denomination of 1 crore rupees. Okay, so imagine, can a person will give 1 crore donation by self? Okay, no, chances are very low. That means the companies are donating these bigger amount. Okay, and the percentage is about 94%. That means higher chances of these are companies. Okay, and these companies do not enjoy a right to privacy, so why are you protecting? Okay, so that's the point. And now it is ultimate left over to the Supreme Court, who will decide the case, and we will be waiting for the outcome. And by now the Supreme Court will have to decide, and Supreme Court should not delay in its judgment. That's the point. Okay, so we have discussed the article. It is very good article, and talks about various approaches and the various issues with the electoral bond scheme. Hope you understood in detail. Okay, now we are shifting to the second editorial discussion, and it is related to GS paper 3. And first of all, I want you to ask a question, like whenever you face some common disease, okay, like okay, or the fever, so you mainly visit to the shopkeeper, to the medical store, and you try to purchase the medicine. Okay, even you does not consult to the physician or the practitioner, you directly consult to the medical shopkeeper and ask about various questions, whether the medicine will be effective, okay, how much time it will take, and all of that. Okay, and you take the medicine and you go to the home and take out the medicine, and the purpose has been done. So this is the purpose. So when we talk about all of these here, despite there is a availability of the physician, okay, but consultation is not here done by majority of the people. Okay, but in this article the major talk is about the generic medicine versus the branded medicine. Okay, and the focus is more about the generic medicine and how the generic medicine has been dominated in India, and that's a good thing. But what about the issues related to the generic medicine is existing? It needs to be taken out, it needs to be eliminated so that the cost of the generic medicine is reduced. Number one, the quality is also ensured. Number two, and there should be a universal availability of these generic medicine, and which should be certified and well qualified in terms of quality. So these are the certain recommendations given in this article. Okay, so we will be discussing one by one. Okay, and first of all, you can understand that on August 3, 2023, the National Medical Council directed all doctors to prescribe only generic names and not the brand names. Now, why was this decision was taken by NMC? The main reason behind doing this was like the branded medicine are very costly, and sometimes the doctor and the companies have a nexus, and for their profit they suggest costly branded medicine. But the NMC says that we have the generic medicine, good quality, okay, and that's why the generic medicine should be promoted, and that's why it was given as an order. However, due to the protest, it was withdrawn. Okay, but we will be elaborating with respect to the general medicine. Also, in 1975, remember this committee, Hathi Committee, demanded that all brand names should be weeded out gradually. So, what was the purpose behind the order? First of all, we talked about that there is a perception like only certain renowned and branded companies have quality. So these are myth, and these are marketing techniques to gain profit. Okay, we have the generic medicine that performs well and that does their work accordingly. Okay, and this also represent the nexus between the pharmaceutical company and the doctors. Okay, and lastly, what I am trying to say, or the what this article is trying to say, that we have about 140 crore population, and majority of the population are basically middle class family. Okay, so if their disease occurs, that means if the person is adopting the standard medicine or the branded medicine, so it will increase their burden, it can impact their livelihood. Okay, so to have a welfare, okay, so there is a need to promote generic medicine in India. And also, if the quality is good, then what is the problem to not promote generic medicine? Okay, so that's the point. And ultimately, it depends on the quality of the generic medicine that should be of the better quality to made it available in our country. And why sometimes doctor prescribe the branded medicine, you have to understand it as well. Sometimes we have the issues over the generic medicine. Okay, and the doctors who have the knowledge of the standard medicine or the branded medicine, okay, they have the idea over that medicine, so they try to prescribe. Okay, and this also comes to their reputation. Okay, and the reputation of doctor is based on what? The quality and the quantity of the medicine. Okay, and the quality of medicine is dependent on what? The raw materials. What is the raw material? Active pharmaceutical ingredient in a tablet. So in a tablet you can observe the chemical compositions. Okay, so these chemical compositions are nothing but active pharmaceutical ingredient. But who will guarantee the compliance, that whether it is followed in the standard medicine or the generic medicine or not? Okay, so these are the concern, and that's why we have to strengthen our regulation system in the pharmaceutical industry to ensure that quality of the generic medicine is also ensured, because as per the data we will be discussing that about 95% of the generic medicine have the quality, but remaining 5% does not have the good quality or has been qualified as low quality medicine. So if these percent are also existing in our society. Okay, so this can have a far impact on the health. Okay, and that's why sometimes the doctors prescribed the branded medicine. Okay, so this can be one of the scenario. So here we are providing you the data. Like studies have shown that prevalence rate of spurious, you can also read as low quality medicine, okay, and not a standard quality medicine in India is around 4.5% and 3.4% respectively as per the National Drug Survey. Okay, so that means about 5% of the total medicine we have the low quality. Okay, and to safeguard a patient and enable complete healing, that means the drugs or the medicine, whether it is generic or whether it is the branded one, must be 100% quality test passed. Okay, but here we are seeing that 5% is lacking the quality. Okay, and if we are promoting the generic medicine, and if we are not able to ensure the 100% quality, so that means there can be the impact on the health of the patient. Okay, so that's the point. And hence, to promote the 100% generic medicine, the government must ensure the quality of the generic medicine. Okay, 100% quality. And what to do? Like periodic lifting of samples for testing, ban the medicine that fail in quality. Okay, and you can take a case study of Tamil Nadu, and the article says that you can implement this technique to test the quality of the medicine and to decide whether the medicine will be accepted or not. Okay, because government also procure medicine. Why government procure medicine? Because government also runs various Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Okay, government run hospitals, so they require medicine. So the quality needs to be ensured. Okay, and here when we talk about the Tamil Nadu case, so in Tamil Nadu we have Tamil Nadu Medical Services Corporation Limited has implemented a system of double blinded quality testing for all medicines which are supplied to the hospital. Okay, so if the quality of the medicine is tested by the government labs as well as private labs are perfect, this will be allowed to enter into the stock of the medicine, okay, in the hospital. If they does not pass the quality test, it will be returned back. So that is the case, and this should be adopted in all the state, in all the government run hospital. Okay, all of that, it is the suggestion, and it has been successful in reducing the overlines of this bad medicine. But there are other issues to consider, like when we talk about essential medicine. So essential medicine are those which is very much required. For example, if certain problem suddenly occurs, okay, so these medicines will help to cure. Like if a baby gets born, okay, so some medicine is very critical for the survival of the baby. So this should be ensured in the hospital, in the state, in the district. Okay, but in an experiment, in a survey which is done in the Chhattisgarh, okay, we have seen that the availability rate was only 17%. Okay, only 17%. But what is the recommendation here? The availability rate of all essential medicine should be about 90%. Okay, and along with there should be a ban on unscientific combination of the medicine which represent 40% of the retail market. And along with there is other suggestion, like we have the wholesaler, we have the retailers that deals with the medicine selling. Okay, so they also try to earn more and more profit by making nexus with the doctors, with the shopkeepers and all of that. So there is a need to restrict the profit margin. Like for wholesaler agent it should be 15%, and for the retailers it should be 35%. Okay, and along with the network of Jan Aushadhi Kendras needs to be expanded. Okay, and until and unless the quality of generic medicine is not ensured 100%, there is not should be mandatory to allow only the generic medicine to be prescribed by the doctors. Hence, following the Indian Medical Association's protest, the National Medical Council has withdrawn the order on generic prescribing. Okay, did you understand the reason why they withdrawn the generic prescribing? Okay, so until these reforms done, goal of universal access to affordable generic medicine for all without brand names is not visible. Okay, so quality of generic medicine is also needs to be ensured by 100%. Okay, in order to substitute with the brand medicine. So that's the core of the article which has been discussed. Okay, now we are shifting to the third article, and the third article is related to the Manipur issue. Okay, approx 4-5 months have been occurred. Okay, but not solution to the Manipur ethnic violence. We know the basics about Manipur ethnic violence, that it is the violence that is occurring between two tribal community, the Metis and the Kukizo community. Okay, and Metis represent the largest share of the population. Okay, and Kukis is in the smaller share of population. Okay, so there is a conflict between these community regarding the settlements, regarding the expansion of their settlements, so all of that. And we are seeing the impact, we are seeing the violence, we are seeing the death of the people. Okay, but it also raises a question that despite we have a government both at the center and at the national level, why we are not able to control this violence? Okay, despite every mechanism and the system to take all these issues are available, but we are not able to do so. Why? Okay, so here it represents the state's failure as well as the central government's failure. Okay, and you can see that in a recent incident, there was an announcement by the Indigenous Tribal Leader Forum, which represents Kuki Jo group, that they are trying to pursue self-rule. Okay, with separate chief minister in district dominated by the tribal community. So, like they are going against the government. Although these type of system does not have legal basis, but they are trying to become autonomous in an indirect way. Okay, and this can also like cause concern among the Mathis, and again fresh violence can also spread. Okay, that's the point. And even the decision, the action comes just a week after an intelligence bureau team and Ministry of Home Affairs officials held a meeting in Manipur. Okay, so what we are seeing, that despite we have these type of issues, but there is a failure in government. Okay, in maintaining law and order in the state. So there is some suggestion like a leadership change has been a key demand by the Kuki Jo community, but this is not going to happen. And the article suggests that the Mathi community represent the majority population. That's why government is not doing all of these. Okay, and what government is doing, like they are imposing article 355 to maintain peace and also deploying of the paramilitary forces, but this will not cater to solve the conflict. Okay, for that there is a need to have a dialogue, okay, between the communities and addressing the real issue which is getting highlighted in this ethnic violence. Otherwise, there can be the sharpening of the divide between these community and can have a spillover effect in other state as well. Okay, so there should be no partition, that is biasness, while dealing with all of these issue. Otherwise there will be no enduring peace. Okay, and the conflict and the violence will go on, and the instability in these states will lead to the backwardness of the northeastern development. Okay, so that's the point we have highlighted. Hope you understood. Now coming to the solution of the PYQ. So the answer is Jawaharlal Nehru. And when we talk about ninth schedule, you know that it was inserted by first constitutional amendment 1951. Okay, and here why it was inserted, because to ensure that if certain amendments is done in the constitution that should not violate the fundamental rights. Okay, so it was enacted, and that's why by enacting the ninth schedule, various amendments and the constitutional laws was inserted in ninth schedule, and it led to protection of these laws from the Supreme Court. Okay, but remember one case, and you have to tell me the name of the case, you know, in which Supreme Court said that there should be no blanket ban, okay, on the laws which has been implemented by the parliament under the ninth schedule. So tell me the case, which was the case. Okay, so hope you understood all these editorial discussion. Have a nice day. We will meet again with the next sort of discussion. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.